3 things to consider when deciding how much work to do on a project. Earlier, we talked about goals. What are you aiming to achieve? Results are driven by goals. You practice to the extent required to achieve the goal within a time frame. Teenagers have a reputation for overestimating how good they are and underestimating how much work is required to achieve the goal. Don't fall into this trap. Secondly, it depends what you are prepared to commit to. We all have competing interests and commitments, so what can you realistically expect of yourself in terms of a practice schedule? Setting unrealistically high demands of yourself, for example, saying, I'll practice 3 hours each day when you've never done more than about 40 minutes at a skill, is not wise because it can set you up for failure. And then you feel bad about yourself for not adhering to the schedule you set. If you wish to do more work, increasing time by small increments is the best way to do this. The third consideration is, how good do you want to become? The best at anything, put in the most quality effort. We're going to talk about this in more detail. Expertise studies are fascinating. To sum it up, you practice as much as required to increase your skill in a time frame you are prepared to commit to. For physical skill development, like dance, music and sport, the distribution of practice time is the most important thing. Some people have lumpy practice schedules. Rather than practice every day, they might do a lot on one day, then little for the next few days. Challenge yourself to practice every day, even if some days you can only afford a little time. Only practice on the days that you eat, and as the Latin proverb says, greatness is but many small littles. How good do you want to be? A professional? Perhaps an expert? There are no shortcuts. Character strength underpins mastery, and mastery cultivates strength of character. This alone is a noble reason to seek excellence. These character strengths, persistence, diligence, patience, and respect for experts, as well as stick-additiveness, are traits that will hold you in good stead for life. Character is habit long done. There are certain experiences, certain opportunities, and certain jobs that only experts get invited to. What you do now affects the rest of your life. Plan to get good at something. The first study to have a go at estimating practice hours for expertise was Anders Ericsson's violinist study. It was simple in concept. How good are you, and how many hours have you practiced for in your life? This was done at an esteemed music conservatorium in Germany. Ericsson's research team found that the violinists taken for this study began learning their instrument at about the age of 5 and practiced roughly the same amount in the first few years. But practice habits changed dramatically from about the age of 8. This was the first study of its kind to find a direct correlation between practice time and results. The more you practice, the better you get. See the gold star? That represents Mozart. Dr. Michael Howe, in his book Genius Explained, estimated that Mozart had practiced about 3,500 hours by the age of 6. The big finding from this study was that basically the researchers couldn't find any violinists who were categorised as world-class standard without having done a minimum of 10,000 hours. I wouldn't get too worried about that exact number. It's the point that matters. You can't be an expert until you put in the hours. Practice is the only way we know of getting expertise. Importantly, according to Ericsson, 2 points must be considered. 1. It does depend on how you practice. He called this deliberate practice, which is what much of this program has been talking about. Quality repetition, small portions, slow movement for skills practice. Efficient use of practice time requires these deep practice techniques. Experts know how to practice, not just how much. Secondly, the 10,000 practice hours is acquired in a relatively concentrated period of time, not distributed, say, over 40 to 50 years, but intensely over about 10 years. It's also more likely to lead to expertise when you start younger than older. Yes, it sounds a lot, and it is. It's also a minimum time. For some fields and some instruments, the time requirement is greater. If you were to accumulate 10,000 hours in 10 years, you'd need to practice 2 hours and 50 minutes each and every day. Of course, expertise is not automatic. You have to be seriously interested, have support and opportunity. Perhaps that's why expertise, by definition, is rare. Do you really want to be an expert? Many of us don't know what it means to work that hard until we see how hard others work. We do not understand what people can accomplish until we have seen what they do at our age. If you want to have a better skill than others, work harder and smarter than them. If you would like to make more time for practicing a dedicated skill or for other active leisure pursuits, consider where your time goes. A lot of people say, I'm busy, but busy doing what? There's nothing wrong with a little TV and social media, but these things can become time thieves and steal your life if you allow them to. Computer games can be fun, but again, some people get hooked spending so much time that little is left for things that bring longer lasting enjoyment and satisfaction, like mastering a skill. Note this image. This study was from Carnegie Mellon University in the US. 10,000 hours on computer games? Imagine if that was applied on developing the skill that you love to do. Wow, how good you'd be. None of us are immune to this one. Be very careful. Some students are spending 6 to 9 hours each day looking at a phone, texting for 145 minutes per day. It doesn't bring happiness, but rather the opposite. There's nothing wrong with moderate use. Don't let these things get a hold of your life though. Take stock of your use of leisure time. Your time is valuable. Make it count. Check out the work ethic of the greats. Mozart was a prodigious worker. He was likely practicing 4 hours a day by the age of 4 and might have achieved the 10,000 hour mark by age 8.5. Andre Agassi was only 6 when his father had him hit 2,500 balls every day. His dad said, if you do this, that's 17,500 balls a week and nearly 1 million by the end of the year. He further added, the numbers don't lie, Andre. A child who hits 1 million balls a year will be unbeatable. Clearly, Mr. Agassi Sr. believed in the quantity of effort. Years before Serena Williams was born, her father, Richard Williams, decided that his daughters would be tennis professionals because of the huge money that could be made. He used to proclaim openly that his yet-to-be-born children would become the world's best players. He wrote a 78-page plan outlining how this would be achieved. The cornerstone was that his children would start young, work tirelessly, and develop an unstoppable motivation to excel. Serena, born in 1981, began learning tennis at the age of 3. Within a year, she was practicing daily 2-hour sessions with her father. Serena began competing in junior tennis championships at the age of 4.5 and turned pro age 14. And the rest, as they say, is history. Like Richard Williams, Laszlo Polgar also believed that with hard work and the right kind of environment, everybody could become exceptional. He and his wife Clara decided that their 3 daughters would be trained in chess. Laszlo transformed the home into a chess shrine, laden with pictures, books and paintings depicting chess scenes to ignite the girls' curiosity. It worked. From the age of 3, the girls were practicing 40 to 50 hours each week. All 3 of the Polgars had amassed over 10,000 hours of deliberate practice by the age of 12. They not only worked hard but smart. After every loss, they deconstructed the match and investigated what they did wrong so they could improve. Traditionally, chess had been a male-dominated activity and women were often seen as weaker players, but Laszlo Polgar was against this stereotype. He said, "In fields of intellectual activities, women are able to achieve results similar to that of men." Each of his 3 daughters became world champions. People tend to think of Michael Jordan as a great natural athlete. What bothered him about this perception was that it somehow underestimated all the hard work he did to become the best player in the world. People were amazed at Jordan's ability to maintain such an intense work ethic and consistently strong desire to learn and seek improvement throughout his career. Jordan said, "I've always believed that if you put in the work, the results will come." Studies show that the great minds of science were not distinguished as being exceptionally brilliant as measured by IQ tests, but by their capacity for sustained work. Great scientists are almost always workaholics. They have incredible persistence and their threshold for mental exhaustion is very high. America's greatest inventor, Thomas Edison, showed no unusual potential as a child. Yet he invented the light bulb, one of his 1,093 inventions. He is famous for his work habits, never give up attitude, and 100-hour work weeks. Now you know how experts become experts. A lot of hard work. Shift your thinking from the gifted genius to the industrious genius. It doesn't happen without effort. You can practice all you like, but if you want to maximize it, you have to sleep. So here's a study. 3,000 Rhode Island high school students. Students earning A's averaged about 15 minutes more sleep per night than those earning B's, who in turn were sleeping 15 minutes more per night than those earning C's. Other studies too have found a strong correlation between sleep and performance, not only in intellectual development, but in sport and music too. When faced with a difficult decision, sleep on it. Material that has been slept on is much more easily learned and recalled. A study by the Prince's Trust in the UK found that students who have set bedtimes and evening routines did better at school. David Hughes, the Australian Institute of Sport's Chief Medical Officer, says, "The key pillars for high sports performance are training well, good nutrition, and good sleep." Memories don't just form at the point of learning. It's during sleep that the neural circuit construction and the myelination mostly takes place. What's more, it's the last 2 hours of the sleep cycle when sleep spindles zap the brain to consolidate your practice effort into usable skill. Have you noticed this? You might miss practice for a day, but you've still improved. You've slept on it. Well, yes, or perfect practice makes perfect, as some like to say, but try again. Practice, followed by a good night's sleep, makes perfect.